welcome to my YouTube channel and welcome to my first ever video. I thought I would make this video today, and it's called why I'm deciding to be nomadic, or how I decided to become the nomadic therapist. And as you can see, well, maybe it's not readily obvious, but I'm not nomadic right now. I still have a house that I'm sort of grounded in. I haven't really taken flight yet because I still have business here in Las Vegas, and I'm working on saving money and doing this the responsible way and not the like, fuck you, let's get out of town and run away to greener pastures kind of way. And there's a lot I could talk about with that. But first, I just sort of want to dive into what brought me here. So reason number one that I decided to be nomadic was I was on a trip in Hawaii, and this was the first ever trip that I took by myself. I actually wasn't planning on taking this trip alone. I had two people that I invited to go on this journey with me, and the universe was like, nope, you're doing this one alone. So while I was in Hawaii, I had a lot of really meaningful experiences to where, I was able to be my full self because I didn't really know anybody. I struggle a lot with social anxiety, and so there's just this pressure that gets removed and this perfectionism that gets removed when you're in a place and you don't know the people there. And so because of that, I was sort of in this mode of thinking of, what makes me happy? How can I focus on myself and, having an enjoyable trip without another person to bounce things off of? And so what ended up happening is I would go on these little journeys like, oh, I want to go to this black sand beach. I've always wanted to see a black sand beach. And I would I would video myself. And so I'd be talking to like friends and family that I'm close to and, supremely grateful for. But it was sort of like they were there with me. And so I really didn't feel alone because it was like, oh my God, like I'm doing this really cool stuff. And I was kind of like, whispering into the camera, which, I was on Snapchat a lot. I was on Facebook, just kind of live streaming. And I was like whispering like, oh my God, if you were here, you would see this. And this is what I'm thinking about right now. And it was just this like very intimate vibe. And so, part of me was like, maybe this is, a key piece of who I am. Maybe I like, documenting my my journeys and my experiences in this way. So, that became sort of a major piece about, maybe this is the direction you need to go. I would wake up and, get in my car that I rented every day. I stayed on the big island of Hawaii, so lots of volcanoes. You have the beach side, and then you have the rainforest side of the island. And I stayed on a commune in the rainforest side at first, and I just was jumping in the car and was like, where do I want to go today? And I'd go to a gas station. I'd, fill up a cooler with ice, get some like iced coffee, and then I'd drive to a beach, park my car, tailgate at the beach, and I was like pouring iced coffee into like a little cup that I would carry around. And, I would just drink that in the tailgate of the Jeep that I had. So that was fun. And I found out I could really be happy with like quite simple things. And so another part of becoming nomadic is working on healing some inner child wounds. And so, I grew up in an environment, with parents who worked a lot. I think a lot of millennials, we sort of had this experience where our parents worked a lot. And so they would like, at least my parents, they would overcompensate by being absent by saying, well, but we'll get you this really awesome stuff. So like around Christmas, like my mom, she would do Christmas very well. And she would say, I work really hard all year so that I can provide you with this awesome Christmas. And it kind of makes up for my being absent. Now, like, no parent is perfect. I'm not here on this channel trying to bash my parents, but you can see where that could lead me to have some very materialistic tendencies, and I certainly do. I've been enjoying the challenge to pare down, focus on the essentials, which, for an Enneagram 7 is really hard to do. But it's still sort of an enjoyable challenge. And I got this sort of idea from the Burning Man community as well. A lot of that's about essentialism and only packing in what you can carry and carry out. So yeah, I've been enjoying that challenge as well and thinking about going nomadic and sort of shedding some of my more materialistic tendencies. And I'm still struggling with that. I still want to I'm currently looking at what RVs I want to get, and it's really hard to not choose the prettiest one and maybe go with something that's more practical, that's going to meet my needs, and that's going to allow me to focus on having more free time. Because if I have all this debt that I'm trying to pay off, by getting an expensive RV, then I have less time to really focus on, hula hooping, for example, or reading or writing or, doing this YouTube channel. So yeah, that's another reason I'm going nomadic. So another reason I'm also going nomadic is because I'm trying to sort of embody the repressed shadow parts of myself. So if you don't know what that means, our shadow selves, they're the aspects of our personality that we don't really like to look at. We might see them in other people and sort of reject those qualities in other people. But actually we only reject them because it's an unexplored part of ourselves. So for me, I was finding that I was attracted to these highly independent people. And, I actually had a partner at one time who said, I really want to be nomadic. This was, maybe 2 years ago, coming up this summer, it would have been 2 years ago. And he kind of had this revelation that he wanted to do van life. And I remember that being sort of devastating. But at the same time, I was really supportive because I'd always watched the movie Eat, Pray, Love. And, so even though like part of me was protesting and I was like, no, I won't get to have you consistently around, there was another part of me that very much supported his ideals. So I showed him the movie Eat, Pray, Love to sort of like say, hey, yeah, I support what you're doing, even though it's really hard for me. But if you would have asked me back then if I ever would have thought about being nomadic, I would have been like, no, that's like totally avoidant behavior. It's so, anti-community, and people do that when they're like really messed up. But I also like have always watched Eat, Pray, Love. And so why would I make that judgment about it when it's, probably a part of myself that I'm not embodying yet because I'm afraid. And so when we explore those shadow parts of ourselves, we heal those parts of ourselves. For whatever reason, I had to create distance from my independent side. And I thought, oh no, I really need a partner before I go out and do something like that. I would never do that alone. I'm female. And while it is true that, women, we have a harder time with safety, and, our safety really is threatened oftentimes, it's not as unsafe as we think out there. I felt very safe in Hawaii. And I kind of had the attitude of like, well, if I die, at least I die doing what I love. I would rather do that than sit around scared all the time. And I found I felt much safer once I sort of embodied that attitude as well. So, we have like our collective unconscious, as Carl Jung sort of talks about. And, in the movie Eat, Pray, Love, you can kind of see this because she goes on this journey where, she's doing the thing that her friends want to be able to do. Her psychologist friend sort of judges her for doing this and is like, you're acting like a college kid. She was like, I need to just deal with myself. But then later her therapist friend confessed, like, I kind of wish I could do this myself, but I'm kind of tied down because I have a baby. We're kind of told that we're not good enough unless, we're pushing out babies, get married, and contributing to capitalism. So this is, the chance to be nomadic. It's really an opportunity and a blessing. I don't think everybody gets to make this decision. And I very much view it as something that I'm privileged to be able to do. And so, I want to learn as much as I can and explore the shadow side of not only myself, but of the collective unconscious. And just sort of see what's there. And then lastly, how I came up with the name, The Nomadic Therapist. So to be truthful with you, I was actually laying out in my pool, but I was sort of thinking about, this idea of what I would do if I was going to be single the rest of my life. And I thought about Hawaii, and I'd just gotten back, and I was like, I would kind of do what I was doing in Hawaii, which is to sort of wander around. I guess that makes me kind of nomadic, huh? And then it sort of came from there. And I could honestly do a whole separate video of how I came up with the name, the Nomadic Therapist, because there's actually a really huge story behind it. There's a lot of like personal healing that had to happen for me to be able to get here and even be able to identify this way. And so, yeah, it's too much for this short introductory video. But basically, you know, the idea is that I grew up feeling like I had to be perfect and like I had to have it all together. And, you know, as therapists, we're kind of encouraged to present that image too. Like I would never tell a client, like, actually, I have no idea. I'm totally lost in that area as well. We really can't do that. The ethics boards will stand behind us in pretending to have our shit together. And it's sort of re-traumatizing because I had to do that as a kid. And I think I'm allowed to be lost, and I'm going to do it on purpose. So being nomadic is really just being lost on purpose, or professionally lost. So yeah, this is something I'm very much choosing to do. I'm kind of jumping into the unknown with hopes of, you know, reaching enlightenment or some kind of, you know, knowledge on the other side. So yeah, that's why I call myself the Nomadic Therapist. Now you know a little bit of the background of the name of this YouTube channel, and you know a little bit about what makes me want to be nomadic. I hope you will subscribe to my channel and continue to watch. Hit the button below, and I'll keep posting and updating you with lots of stuff.